What happens if Tank Davis really gets therapy? Welcome to the Black Man Black Health Podcast. We're going to talk today about Tank Davis and what's going to happen if he gets therapy. Now, disclaimer, I want to start off by saying I love Tank Davis. I think he's a phenomenal athlete. Anybody who gets to that level of boxing and to be that athletic and to be that ferocious has my respect. The topic we want to talk about is what happens if he gets therapy. So I'll play a clip on him mentioning about him possibly getting therapy. And it's amazing to hear because we don't usually hear black men saying they want therapy. B, we don't usually hear professional athletes say that they want therapy. And C, something had to happen where he made this decision that I don't want to box anymore. I'm gonna retire. I need therapy. So let's go through it. For a black man, I usually I usually feel that most black men don't have a space or have the opportunity or permission to just be emotional without it having to look a certain way. I don't believe black men have, not to say that luxury, but I don't believe we have enough safe spaces yet. Do we have some? Yes, but not enough yet. Where black men can say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm feeling this. I need to fix this. I don't think we have those spaces yet. Are we going to have those spaces? Probably, but not right now. We don't have them. For him to say that as an athlete, of course, something has happened recently that has made him turn on this different switch. He mentions in an interview, a brief interview I saw, that he hates boxing and things like that. With men, this is something that I've done and something that I've learned. When we need to make a change, it feels like we need to hate the past or hate what was before in order to make this new change. Because if he just said, I don't want to box anymore, I want to get therapy, I want to be a better version of me for my kids, people might not have respected him the same way. He might not have respected himself the same way. So that's common. I've done that for years. That's common. But my biggest thing is what happened for him to make this decision. I believe, and I don't personally know Tank, but I believe he came to a realization that this boxing stuff or the lights and the fame and all of that, that will leave as soon as I get bad or as soon as I stop boxing. He probably came to the realization too that something is blocking him from having a bigger and a deeper connection with his kids. Kids will do it. One of my main reasons for getting into therapy was because Aaliyah was born, and I realized if I couldn't express myself emotionally and open up, pretty soon um, that same exact person would probably become Aaliyah. I was gonna pass on my trauma. I was gonna pass on my hurt. I was going to treat her based on what I didn't process in myself. Now, it should have been I want to go to therapy and get help for me, but that was my driving force. When I got into therapy, that's when I realized this is actually more so for me than it is just for her. So something had to happen where he realized, hey, my girls need, he said, I want to be softer for my girls, which is showing you he's probably feeling this is not a correct term, I just use it, the Batman syndrome. I'm trying to love somebody while being Batman, right? And we realize you have to eventually take the suit off. You have to take the cape off. You have to take the armor off. You have to take that off to be able to love properly and feel love properly. So I'm very, very proud of him for doing that. I'm very, very, I'm, I can't say anything bad about that. I'm like, wow, this dude did that. The wrestling part is what I would love to hear more about, and I'll talk to you about it. If I make this decision to stop boxing, it affects my livelihood, right? Can you live off a couple million that you probably made? Absolutely, right? Depends on your lifestyle and things like that. If I stop boxing and I'm not this um, prize fighter, I lose that income in the way I had it. Now, someone can say, hey, if he gets therapy, he still can go and fight. But let me tell you this: any fighter who's fighting at that level, that and that vicious, there's definitely trauma that hasn't been processed because that they're reaching for something inwardly that's causing them that pain to react. He talks about his mom and dad leaving him, giving him up, him getting into foster care, right? Him getting into a lot of fights, and then him moving, and then his grandma getting custody of him. He's saying that in a minute, but those are years, especially years where your child needs you the most, like those early years. His mom gives him up, his dad gives him up. They're on drugs. They give him up. He goes to his foster care. We know sometimes the foster care system isn't the best. And then after that, he's now put he gets custody back because his grandmother wins him over. That's a lot. We don't know what was happening while his mom and dad was on drugs. Could have been abuse, it could have been neglect, could have been rejection, abandonment. All of those things, if you don't process them, will eventually turn into something bigger. For my men who are considering therapy, considering getting help, the trauma that we don't process usually comes up in a different way. It comes up usually as us being cold hearted, us not being sensitive, us not having any feelings, how we view people, how we treat people. It comes up in a different way. It doesn't just like, it doesn't just get buried, it comes up in a different way. And, shutting down, isolating, sometimes abuse, all of those things comes from unprocessed trauma. I don't believe any adult is acting wild and being wild at their age because they just want to be that way. It's unprocessed trauma. Now, if Tank does that, could he still fight? Yeah. Would he still be at the top? Probably not. Flip side, if he does go to therapy and he does the work, his daughters get a better version of him, which they need a better version of him more than they need the boxing version of him. No, no, that doesn't make fans excited. That doesn't make uh, the sports world excited because they may lose seeing him. But that stuff is fickle anyway. They'll just pick another person to follow. Right? Mike Tyson's one. When Mike Tyson talked about his story of being molested, he talked in his story about having a hard childhood. He was one of the greatest. That trauma, it gets buried and it comes out in a different way. And fighting has been that way for them. But if he gets therapy, Tank, his daughters now have a better version of him. But more importantly, he gets to feel again. He gets to have a better version of himself. So I'm rooting for him. I'm hoping that he does consider going to therapy, and he mentioned that he's going to retire at the end of 2025. I'm proud of him, and I think it's an amazing example for black men to see that, hey, if Tank can go to therapy, if Tank can mention that he wants to be softer for his kids and he wants to do these things, how much more can I do the same thing? Something that I said was, I always wish there was more examples of alpha males doing inner work so that when we look, we realize it's not bad to do the work. It's actually commendable. But if we don't see it, we just keep following what everybody else is doing, which is be you, be hardcore, stay Batman, stay Superman, and all of that. We help men one-on-ones where we help you realize where you stuck at spiritually, mentally, or physically. How do we get you healthy in those areas? And the reason why we do that is because we believe if men are healthy, our nation, our world, our families will also be healthy as well. And you can contact me, drewcost.com, or if you're watching this on Instagram or wherever, Coach Drew Cost. But we want to help you. You can just go there and you can sign up for a session where we help you. We help you understand that you have tons of value, and sometimes you might just be stuck, and we want to help you out. So go there, subscribe. I'll see you later, guys. Be great.